Hello! Is it on or?
It appears to be. It says live in the corner.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Doctor Who Series 11 stream with me and Captain Swiss. Jared, unfortunately, will not be joining us tonight, but due to the fact that he is pretty hanging out with Psychobend. But anyway, the moment we've all been waiting for, the final episode of Series 11, not counting the special that's going to happen in New Year's. Anyway, let's get into Doctor Who Series 11, The Battle of Ranskoor a la Kolos. Blimey,
let's do it.
Yeah, blimey, that's a title. Anyway, the episode starts off with the Doctor directing the TARDIS to a planet called Ranskoor a la Kolos, where a large number of signals are originating, where they find a large wreckage of starships there on the surface, and a psychic field that can alter one's perception of reality. The Doctor quickly provides, the usual device plot of the week, which is some newer bouncers to counteract the thing so it doesn't scramble their brains. During their trip, they come across a pilot who has amnesia, but the Doctor provides them with the same doodah that he gave to the TARDIS crew. Allowing us to learn that his name is Pachakraki. Okay. And then we get a video signal from a woman named Andinona, and and also the first episode of Series 11 villain, Tim Shaw, where he... Sorry, what, you were about to say something?
I was just about to say, they really like giving their characters difficult to pronounce names.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say it, and then you mentioned Tim Shaw, and I was like, well, Tim Shaw's plain and simple, at least.
Well, yeah, even though it's spelled weird, but yes. But see, besides Tim Shaw, everyone here has complicated names. And when you think Star Trek and Star Wars give the ridiculous names to their characters, I think Doctor Who takes the cake.
I think so.
Anyway, Tim Shaw demands that they bring an item to him aboard the ship in exchange for his kidnapped crew. The Doctor and co decide to head there with this sort of cube-like thing with this little spear inside. If that's what it is, I don't know what it's called. During the travel there, Graham, tells the Doctor that he plans to kill Tim Shaw to avenge, his dead wife, Grace. However, this is not cool for the Doctor, and the Doctor warns, if you do this, you will never be allowed to travel with me on the TARDIS ever again.
She's not big on the whole murder thing, is she?
Oh yeah, or revenge for that matter. Granted, you could. Let's see. I think even the Doctor has. But yeah. Anyway. Anyway, the group collects the. Oh yeah, they. Oh right, my mistake. It seems they collected the item before. After Graham's statement. But yes, they collect the protective shell, and then they enter the Citadel through teleport, which I think was designed by the ship. The crew splits up into three groups. Graham and Ryan go look for the kidnapped crew, while the Doctor, Yasmin, and Patra set out for Tim Shaw. They then encounter Adino, who takes them under gunpoint to Tim Shaw, and Delph. During this, the Doctor recognizes Adino and Delph as members of the UX, a race capable to control the fabric of reality with their minds, but only two exist at any time. Blimey, wait, are they like brother and sister?
I don't know. It's a bit peculiar, isn't it? Because if only two of them could exist at any one time, then you'd assume the two would be like a breeding pair of male and female. Yeah, but then wouldn't their children then it'd be the only two that could exist?
I don't know. I guess this is just one of those things where you should not really think too much about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, during this, the Doctor converses with Tim Shaw, and they learned after the previous encounter to Earth, he's been transported to this Ranskoor planet and found by the Ooks, who considered them their creator, and for the next 1,000 years, he's pretending to be their god while he demands the Urks work for whatever he demands, effectively taking revenge on those races that humiliated him by shrinking their planets to tiny objects. Like the one in Pakucha's ship. Okay, I'm pretty certain it was only Earth that humiliated Tim Shaw, but okay. Unless, let's see, unless there are humans on other planets, but oh well. Anyway, Yasmin and Pakucha discover the 4 similar planets, the one that they've discovered earlier. Let's see what Tim Shaw prepares to do. Tim Shaw prepares to shrink the Earth and entrap it in those, let's see, protective shells for his revenge. I believe during, let's see, the ships that litter the surface are vessels that have attempted to fight Tim Shaw but lost due to help from Urks. All right, okay, we learn about that. Sorry, I'm also reading from Wikipedia page just to remember some of the stuff, but yeah. No and worries. The Doctor warns that even with the 5 planets in close with all these planets together in such close proximity, they can pretty much tear the fabric of reality, and adding Earth would accelerate it. I don't know how that would, let's see. I don't know how 5 planets together can do that, but hey, it's probably universe setting destroyer. I'm sorry, are you talking to someone or?
No, sorry, I was just looking at the video feed on YouTube, but I'd forgotten to mute it.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Let's see. Meanwhile, Graham and Ryan are trying to find the missing clue along with like other crews from the ships, where they find them in stasis chamber, which an alarm alerts Tim Shaw of their arrival, and he sends an army of those sniper robots from episode 2 of this series to go after them. Let's see, during which, Ryan learns of Graham's, intent to kill Tim Shaw, and he tries to talk him out of it because of everything they've been through with the Doctor, pointing out he's now calling him Granddad and stuff. You know, trying to use that Granddad card. To then convince the Urks to stop the process of Earth and help them to return the planets. With the pilot Patrick's help, let's see, Graham and Ryan defeat the robots. Oh, I should go back to we went to see. And Ryan leads the crew to safety, but Graham, decides to go after Tim Shaw. And ready to shoot him and stuff. As the Doctor and the Urks save the planets, Graham confronts Tim Shaw. But despite the fact that he plans on killing him, he just can't do it. Instead, and I believe he gets assistance from Ryan, and the only thing he does is shoot Tim Shaw in the foot. Instead of killing him, they decide to trap him in the sort of stasis fields that he has trapped the pilots and the crews over the years as a taste of his own medicine. And Ryan is glad how Graham has become such a good man and such a great granddad. The Doctor and the eunuchs, and along with Patrick's crew, work together to return the 5 planets back to their original positions as space. And I believe the eunuchs, the one called Delph asks Patrick if he can help return the others to their proper worlds, deciding to move among the stars. And this recalls that, and then afterwards, the Doctor and co, now calling them their fam, decides to return to go on to their next adventure. So, what are your overall thoughts of the episode?
I think I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it, but it didn't feel especially like a final episode for the season.
Yeah, it kind of just felt like another episode. I have to agree with you there. I mean, and it's nice that they brought back Tim Shaw. I mean, he's probably the series' best villain in a sense, but let's see. But yeah, but on the other hand, it just felt like another episode. And again, I suppose it's partly due to the fact that you don't get really any companion goodbyes or something. I know that usually feels like when a series is over. But it looks like the companions are at least staying, at least to the New Year's special. After that, I'm not sure. I did like the reference they got. Let's see, the 10th Doctor returned to Earth to put its proper place in Journey's End, and the rebirth of Slitheen as an egg, which did happen to the 9th Doctor. You remember those two little references?
I don't. I'm not sure if I remember spotting them, but I remember the references as you've listed them. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked how, let's see, they referenced that in this series. Let's see, perhaps I'm a bit of a geek, but I do like my continuity.
I think you've got a better eye for it than I do. I can spot the, like a few episodes back when she gets the fez out of the delivery box, and I go, oh yeah, I remember Matt Smith wore a fez, but some of the more subtle ones I sometimes miss.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so what did you think about the Doctor this episode?
Well, it kind of ties into what I thought about the episode at large, which was that it didn't really feel like a final episode. It didn't feel like I suppose the stakes got higher towards the end, where it's like, oh, Tim Shaw's got a vendetta against the Doctor, so now he's going to try and attack Earth. Like I guess they managed to weave Earth into it in a reasonable enough way. It wasn't just tacked on there. At least Tim Shaw had some kind of a connection to the place.
Oh yeah.
And I suppose what they were doing is kind of what I've been asking Doctor Who to do for a while, which is for every season finale not to be, the universe is going to explode. It's the fate of every living thing. The Daleks are back, and only the Doctor can save them. Where we get the same kind of thing over and over again.
I have to admit, a lot of series finals do involve either the Daleks, the Cybermen, or the Master in some form or another.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of that didn't was like Series 7, The Name of the Doctor. But yeah, go on.
No, I was actually just about to ask you which ones hadn't. It was the Name of the Doctor. That was the end of the Silence arc, wasn't it?
That was the end of the Clara Impossible Girl arc.
Oh right, okay. But it had something to do with the Silence, didn't it? That episode.
Trenzalore, I believe.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah. Let's see. And the other one would be Hell Bent. The one that everyone hates of Stephen Moffat's. One of the 12 Doctors.
Hell Bent had such a good opener. Heaven Sent was such a good episode, and Hellbent was such a disappointment.
Yeah, but we'll get to that once we finally get that Stephen Moffat discussion.
Yeah.
But other than that,
yeah. So you said how did I think the Doctor did this episode? I think she fit into the story well enough with what they were doing. There's something that I've come to wonder about with this series. I'm very interested on your thoughts as well. I'm not entirely sure if I like the characterization of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. I think that Jodie Whittaker plays her Doctor very well. Like the vision in her head of what she wants the Doctor to be like, she nails it. But I think that she always seems just a little bit too floaty, a little bit too bubbly. Sort of.
I do feel that she's playing the Doctor safe at the moment and hasn't done anything that stands out from the rest. I mean, I think she's fine with the role, but she hasn't done that moment where you're going like, this is the Doctor, or I like this Doctor, or like this Doctor's unique. Like Matt Smith and the Fez, David Tennant and Alonzi, or the Ninth Doctor and fantastic, something like that. She hasn't had that moment yet.
That's what I'd say. I'd say my hope for the next season would be that perhaps the Doctor still feels a little bit at the moment like a sort of a blank canvas that Jodie Whittaker could sort of graft more personality onto.
I think they're trying to do like brilliant as a thing, but it just seems a bit average. Anyway, what do you think of the companions of this episode?
Well, let me think. It was interesting towards the beginning where Graham, brings the Doctor on the side and goes, right, Doc, we've been traveling together for a while, so I feel like I owe it to you to tell you this. I'm going to try and kill Tim Shaw. I mean, I'm going to try and kill him. I'm going to kill Tim Shaw.
You got to admire Graham for his honesty, because he knows the Doctor's not going to approve. But yeah, he's definitely the companion with a character arc this season.
Yeah, like it seemed possibly even a little bit out of character for Graham to want to kill Tim Shaw, but I could kind of understand his motivation. But what seemed very, very in character of him was to say to the Doctor he was going to do it before he tried.
Oh,
the idea of sort of giving her a heads up because they're mates sort of is pretty much in line with kind of what his values are, as far as I know.
And then how it's going to affect the rest of the TARDIS crew and stuff. Let's see. I do like that in the end he said, nah, I'm not going to do this. I mean, you saw this coming. You know this was going to come. But I think they played it quite well. And I think it really worked with how they got Ryan to it. I mean, I suppose Ryan really hasn't had much character development this series, but he's been perfect to help develop Graham as a character in many ways. Basically building off of the relationship from the last episode where he finally starts calling him Granddad. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, I like the relationship that he's got with Graham. I'd say that my criticism of Ryan is probably it's kind of more than that of the Doctor, where I said that I feel that she's still kind of getting the character into order. You know, with Ryan, he doesn't really seem to have an awful lot of character. Like he's young and he's Graham's grandson and he's lost his nan and he lives an ordinary life and wants to prove he's better than his disability. But I couldn't tell you if he's fun or jokey or flirty or any of those things.
He has the backstory and he has the details, but he doesn't have the personality. I'd just say,
I haven't the only way I've got attached to him as a character is via the Graham relationship.
Oh yeah, let's see. We're just waiting for that moment where he stands out.
Yeah, pretty much.
And unfortunately for Yaz, this is an even more bigger problem at the moment as well, which I do feel like there's not really much she does that stands out in this episode, except maybe her interactions with that Paltriax person.
Yeah, I think that probably what could have helped them maybe, because we've spoken about this before, that maybe they've just brought too many characters in one go.
Yeah, it does feel like it. I mean, I'm starting to understand why, for most part, Doctor Who usually just sticks with one companion throughout most of their series, with maybe an occasional one adjoining for like a few episodes.
Sorry, go on.
It seems like this is what... It seems like that's usually the formula that works, particularly with a 13-episode series. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they could have combined Yaz and Ryan's character into one person, and the show probably wouldn't have been that much the worse for it. Like, say instead of having Yaz, who was obviously a police officer, why not put it on to Ryan's character to say that, he wants to get over his disability, learn to ride the bike, he wants to prove he's got what it takes so he can be a police officer. He's a young black guy. He doesn't just want to be seen as a black guy. He wants to, if he's dealt with racism or something, because they can weave those kind of elements into it and go, not an awful lot of black people are police officers. I want to prove more. I want to prove I'm more than what some people think I might be. I think that could have worked, because I mean, what has Yaz done for the entire season?
I think the only episode that she really standed out was the one about her grandmother. And even that focused on her grandmother and her grandmother's dead fiance or husband. But yeah, I do feel like it also doesn't help that we're 3 episodes short of this series and every other series of Doctor Who since its revival. And it doesn't help that these are all one-parters. But yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. We haven't had any 2-parters this year.
I believe this is the first since series 7. Which, let's see, but yeah. Let's see, but I suppose it gives the Doctor more stories to explore and stuff, but yeah. But at least, anyway. So anyway, what do you think of our guest characters? The Paltrax and, let's see, the Urex.
Paltrax, he was the sort of middle-aged bloke, wasn't he? Who couldn't remember near the beginning. He didn't really stand out that much to me, I'm afraid. I'm trying to think.
I think he was just mainly just there for the one that can use the guns against the robots.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
I must admit, when I first saw the preview of the guy, I thought it was that dude from episode 2, which I think would have been a nice continuity for the series. I think that might have even worked better. You just because this guy from before.
Which guy from episode 2?
You know that those two people that the Doctor and the TARDIS crew were traveling for, that had that competition. You know that bloke who looks out for himself.
Oh yes, I know the one.
I feel like it would have probably worked if it was just him for that episode, because I've mistaken the guy for that originally, but and then once I saw the episode, says, "Oh yeah, this is clearly a different person." But go on, what were you about to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as far as that bloke goes, I wasn't particularly interested. But you wouldn't really call them the villains, would you? Because Tim Shaw was the villains.
Oh yeah,
the villain.
We'll get to Tim Shaw in a moment. But the Urax, would you say they were mostly a plot device, or?
They felt it a little bit. I'd say there was only really one standout moment for the Urax with me, which is when the Doctor was kind of having doing one of her little speeches to them about essentially how religious doctrine can be used for extremism.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, yeah, you know what? If Doctor Who's trying to tackle that one on the head, then I think they've done a fairly good job of it, sort of inserting their big alien villain who we already met in a previous episode as kind of landing on the planet, and suddenly, oh, he's the new god, do what he says, etc. I thought that was quite nice. But aside from that, I didn't really think either of them had much character.
Yeah, I wish I suppose it's good to tackle the thing. I'm just not sure if it could have been explored a bit more. I do feel like it might have been better for them if they appeared a bit more alien than human. Okay, let's see. You know,
it's the typical it's like the typical Star Trek syndrome thing of sci-fi, isn't it? Where if you want to get a quick alien, just give them a slightly bigger nose with some cosmetics or some ridges on the forehead, and that does the trick usually.
I mean, let's see. I mean, you'd think in modern times they would give a much higher budget to Doctor Who. Then again, I recall one reviewer pointing out during the Stephen Moffat era, saying he had no problems with the budget. It seems like Chris Chibnall has not changed that either. But oh well. Anyway, the villains: Tim Shaw and the Sniper Robots. The villains from the first two episodes have returned for this episode. What do you make of them?
It was nice to see Tim Shaw back.
Oh yeah.
There'd been some speculation he'd be back, but I was pleased that was the case. I was trying to work out in the episode whether or not I was able to take him seriously, because obviously with the teeth on his face, as sort of an interesting, scary concept it is a bit silly at the same time.
I feel like perhaps they should have, if they perhaps made it a bit more, if they made the teeth a bit more a variety, I guess, because they all look like human teeth. They could have all like these sharp fangs, claws, you know, that kind of thing.
Like some giant saber-tooth incisors for eyebrows or something like that.
Possibly, or like use one of them as a horn.
Yeah. But I kind of liked what they did with him. They sort of explained things from his perspective. You know, he ended up here. He was, you know, he went through the backstory.
Broken, but he found new opportunity to become a god and plan his revenge.
Yeah, so it was like he had an arc, mainly off screen over the course of the season, but he had an arc. He had actual motivations for why he wanted to do the bad villain thing at the end, which is always good.
Yeah.
And he kind of grew on me. I enjoyed watching Tim Shaw in this episode. I can say that at least.
It's just too bad that he's now frozen in stasis and he'll be trapped in there forever. Unless they just, but granted, given the fact that he's not dead, I am hoping that if they decide that there is an opportunity to bring him back, since he's frozen in stasis, and if they do bring him back, I'll be more than happy to have it, because I do like it when each particular Doctor has like a recurring villain to deal with, or alien or monster. You know, like in the 9th Doctor, it was the Slovene. The 10th Doctor, the Ood, the 11th, the Silence. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I like it when they're able to introduce new villains that can kind of stand up on their own, and they don't always have to rely on the Daleks and the Cybermen.
Oh yeah, and the Master.
What I think would be really great to see. What I think would be really great if Tim Shaw were to come back would be like if maybe in a season or two. There's some new arc going on. There's some new big bad they're fighting against. Maybe it's the Master this time or somebody else. And it gets to, you know, it's getting towards the critical point of the plot where they've got to go confront them and save the day. And then they go, oh, right, we've just realized the last piece of the puzzle is Tim Shaw. Tim Shaw, I don't know, either, we need him for this battle because he's great at killing, or he knows something about, whatever the MacGuffin is for the plot that season.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the stasis cube and they're like, it's almost like Dragon Ball Z when they try and get like Vegeta or Frieza on side or something.
Okay. That would be interesting. Now, granted, I don't think he'd probably, as long as he doesn't become a reformed villain, because I think I'd like him to stay for a villain for most part. That's more the enemy, and my enemy is my friend in that situation. Anyway, the sniper robots, would you say they're a bit more threatening this time, or more or less the same?
Unfortunately, I've got to say once more, they didn't really leave too much of an impression on me in this episode.
Yeah.
What did you make of them?
I think they were better used than last episode they appeared in, because they were just there for just like one bit, and they tried to make like water with like piranha, like this sort of piranha kind of similar to like that Silence in the Library with Shadows thing as dangerous, but it was just water in the end of the day, and you couldn't really take that seriously. Along with like those cloths they tried to use at the end of that episode as well. Because I do actually kind of like the sniper robots designs. I mean, yes, they're average and basics, but they're pretty good for a foot soldier army. It's just too bad they can't shoot anything or kill anyone.
Yeah, for me at least, they kind of just fell under this big sort of umbrella of scary people with guns.
In many ways, it was like the worst of the Stormtrooper effect.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's fair dues if you liked them. I just didn't. They didn't particularly stand out to me. But there we go.
I mean, I like design-wise, but I just wish they were a bit more threatening. But I do kind of actually like that they're being used as like a recurring henchman thing. Let's see. So I wouldn't mind if they return. I suppose, make them more threatening next time. Anyway, there seems to be one thing that is missing from this series that I thought that would have been addressed in this final episode. Because, in Series 2, they mentioned this child of time or something, right?
In Series 2?
In Episode 2.
Episode 2, sorry.
Remember with those cloth things?
Oh, yeah, and I remember seeing that and thinking, is this going to be like a bad wolf thing or something? Are they going to try and weave this into the series arc or something?
But there was no mention throughout the series, and it didn't come up in this episode. So it makes me wonder if this is something planned, or is this something they dropped for later series?
I'm willing to believe that maybe they've left it as like a little breadcrumb. For at some point in the future, they can look back and go, all right, here's a little thing that we left to hit. If I was a Doctor Who writer, I wouldn't necessarily come up with like an entire 4-season arc all in one go. So what I might do is say, okay, what I'll do is I'll try and drop some little hints in the first season towards something, but keep it incredibly vague. And then later, once I've decided what I want that new arc to be, I can write it in that whatever it was I was referencing before, that's now part of this new arc, and it seems a lot more joined up, if you get me.
Fair enough. I hope so. I mean, I hope it doesn't end up being one of those messy plots like The Silence ended up being with Stephen Moffat, but hey.
Oh, man. Yeah. I think there's probably... No, again, I'll leave it for our next discussion, because I was about to get into, like, saying some future showrunner needs to retcon, like, half the stuff Moffat did. We'll do that later, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah. Overall, what would you give this episode?
Probably a 7.
A 7. I'd probably give it like a 7 or 7.5 out of 10 as well. Let's see. I mean, it's a fairly good episode, but in terms of finals, we're hoping for a bit more. But I mean, it had some good character arcs. I'm not sure what's going to happen with these companions in the future, but I am hoping that, given that Graham has had a character arc this series, let's see, Ryan and Yaz can have a character arc next series. But that depends if they survive the New Year's special, which, from what I believe, we're going to have the 13th Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks.
Oh, it's about time. That'll be good.
Oh, yes.
See, this is what happens when they ration out the Daleks. I actually look forward to seeing them again. I go, what will happen with the Daleks this time? As opposed to, I saw you 3 weeks ago. Hello again, Daleks.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. And from the judging from the previews, it looks like they might get that threatening level back. Given if you've seen the preview.
I don't actually think I have. I'll have to go have a look at that after we've wrapped up here.
I was a bit hyped. I mean, let's see. I also like how the preview, even though I think it's been spoiled on the internet, the preview it tries to make it a bit ambiguous, but you have a feeling you know what the Doctor's talking about. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see. I suppose I'll see you again later. Let's see. I suppose that'll be the end of our stream now. I'll probably see you when we finally get to that Stephen Moffat one, where I have 6 episodes to watch left. I'll try and watch them by the end of this week, just so that we can try and do it next week. And then I'll probably see you for the New Year's special. And then possibly an overall discussion of Series 11. Let's see New Year, because from what I can hear, from what I understand, after the New Year's special, Series 12 will be in 2020. So this New Year's special will be the only episode we have that in 2019, which is like, damn it, but oh well.
Yeah, it's going to be a Doctor Who drought, it looks like.
Yeah. But I suppose as long as the quality of the season, I suppose it doesn't really matter if it just comes out straight away. But yeah. I mean, I can deal with 1 year of absence. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this will be me and Captain Swiss signing off. Tune in next time.
Catch you later.